Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to talk about two more types of sets of numbers. So we mentioned in the previous video, which I'll drop a link for below, that every number we deal with in existence is what's referred to as a real number. Every number that we deal with is in the set of real numbers. Well, there's two more classifications and subsets, rather, of the set of real numbers. And the first one is the set of what we refer to as the set of rational numbers. The set of rational numbers is the set of numbers that can be expressed in the following form. P over Q, where both P and Q are integers, and provided that Q is not 0, because remember, we cannot divide by 0. So think of a rational number as a relationship between two integers with a non-zero denominator. So here's an example of a rational number. Any fraction that you deal with, 2/3. That also includes improper fractions too, 7/2. Decimals, specifically any type of decimal that we deal with that is repeating or terminating decimals. And what's interesting too is that whole numbers are also rational numbers. How is this described as a relationship between two numbers? We'll recall, and I'll show you this here, that 8 can be described as the relationship between 8 and 1, because you can divide any number by 1 and you would get that same number. We just don't write it this way because this is a little bit more cleaner and a much more nice representation to write this number. So every whole number that includes negative numbers, so if I were to make any of these negatives, say like negative 1.4 instead, or negative 0.75, every positive and negative whole number, fraction, decimal, specifically repeating decimals and terminating decimals, are all rational numbers. So remember, it's a relationship between two integers with a non-zero denominator. Those are rational numbers. The other we will talk about is what's referred to as irrational. So a number can be classified as either rational or irrational. So what makes a number irrational? The set of irrational numbers is a subset of the set of real numbers whose elements cannot be written as a ratio of two integers. And that's a nice way to remember what rational means. Think of it as a ratio. Ratio. So irrational numbers, specifically how we can classify these types of numbers, think of the square root of a number that's not a perfect square. Those are typically really good examples of irrational numbers. If you take the square root of 6, or if you take the square root of 17, or any square root of a non-perfect square number, the square root of 2. These are all examples of irrational numbers, because if you were to calculate these, you would get repeating decimals, but there's no pattern. There's no connection between how that can be represented as a relationship between two integers. Another very important irrational number, or a very popular one, is pi. Remember, pi is approximately equal to 3.1415, and so forth and so on. There's no pattern in this decimal notation, not a relationship between two integers, as mentioned before. So this takes care of rational and irrational numbers. Every single number that we deal with in mathematics is a real number, and those numbers are either rational or irrational, and this is the difference between the two of them. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later.